Good evening. Welcome to the meeting of the RTM Redistricting Committee. It's January 10th, 2023. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item on the agenda is to consider and act upon the minutes of the meeting held on December 6th, 2022. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any comments on the minutes?
No.
Thank you for doing them.
Oh, you're welcome.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks. So our main task today is to approve the maps, hopefully, and the meets and bounds, and also to approve an ordinance that we can bring to the RTM. So we can talk first about the maps, which we've looked at a lot since October.
I have one question for you for the registrar, if I may. My only concern with what we have finalized is I realized in District 6 we have no town-owned property that would easily identify as a polling location. What would you do in that instance, and what are you thinking at this point? Yes, for you, Mr. Wagner, thank you.
Yeah, hi there. I haven't really seriously engaged with what buildings are in what districts. If, going back 10 years when we had a very similar shaped district, we looked at the Holy Family building, what was then the Walter Fitzgerald School, the Board of Education building, and, with those as the options, you may remember I recommended the Holy Family School at that time, but because it was in the district. Since then, it's become clear that that's, they have a tenant and they can't make that hall available to us anymore. So with those as the options, McKinley seemed like the best choice. And that was what we did in the most recent assignment of polling places from this spring. I'll say I do know that there was in doing the meets and bounds, we identified that the Stratfield School is just outside the district that it serves as well, just, 10 feet outside, right, adjacent to the area.
Oh, I thought we dropped it down to Gary.
We intended to, and when we looked at where that line actually was, it's like it goes through the parking lot of the school, but not the school itself. So, that stuff happens. I think, I actually dug up the old memo that I wrote for you guys in 2015. It was like, here are the criteria that I look at. It's like, is it centrally located? What's the travel distance for the people in the district? Is it suitable? Is there parking? That kind of stuff. So, assuming that there's not some new building that got drawn in that I'm not thinking of, that certainly sounds reasonable to have McKinley. But I think, we kind of look at that stuff afresh from the perspective of when the boundaries are finalized and what's inside and what's outside.
Okay, so knowing that, you don't think it's necessary for us to drop. I was wanting to adjust the line up to capture McKinley, but given the fact that you think you've already gone through that exercise, I understand that you need to do your due diligence in the year 2023, but logic would dictate that that's where you're probably going to land.
Yeah, assuming there's no major facility that is in the district that wasn't before that I'm not thinking about,
Okay, so now that you pointed out that we missed on the meets and bounds, the intention was of the committee to make it Stratfield School. So do we need to drop that down farther to make sure that that happens?
Well, again, it's, that's you sort of look at what buildings are in that district and what are, and Stratfield was the option that was chosen from what is now District 4, right? Even though that's outside the district in that case as well. What I would say is that the block that each of those schools are on have very large populations, right? It's not like the school by itself is there and you could say, let's just move the school and then we're done. It's like if there's 500 or 600 people on each of those blocks, so you'd actually need to shift the population of the district around to sort of accommodate those changes. So if you move Stratfield into what's going to be the new District 4, you'd have to find 500 or 600 people to move out of it somewhere else geographically.
Well, we had done that purposely.
Yeah, we
had
did.
purposely asked for
The
that.
one block on like Dorothy, right, that has like a population of 9. Yeah, I understand that. That was something that came up when Scott was doing the meets and bounds, where we saw actually it did go right through the parking lot. That's where the boundary is. So I do understand that block was moved for that purpose, and that's, you know, it was a surprise in that process when Scott was working on that we saw that.
Knowing that, do we have a commitment from you, that for that particular district, that you will select the Stratfield, school as the polling location for district, is it 4?
Like I said, we're gonna go through that process and look at what's in and what's out, and that's something that the registrars are gonna do. I don't know what buildings are in there now, like, I haven't put them up on the map, so, I don't see a need to be disruptive for the sake of being disruptive, but I would also say, you know, if you go back and look at the process from last decade, you know, even the example of a polling place, you know, a public school being inside the district doesn't force the registrars to choose it. You know what I mean? Like, if that's a concern. You know, like the example of North Stratfield and St. Pius, like if you say, oh, we want to have a public school or you want it to be in the district, even if there is a school in the district, the registrars can still say, either of us could say, we don't want that. We want to make it be something else. You know what I mean?
Understood, but the intention of this particular committee was to make the polling location Stratfield for District 4, and now that we're knowing that the meets and bounds map went through the parking lot and excluded the actual building, that's news. I did not know that until a few minutes ago.
I have to point out, though, that choosing, making the districts around polling places is not part of our job. I understand that we want to do, you know, we want to make it easy for the registrars, but it really is their job, so.
But we also did point out when we had the maps drawn, we wanted the polling locations noted on the maps for that particular purpose so that we could actually see how far people would have to travel within their district to get to what would be the logical choice for the polling location. And this is new information that we didn't have before tonight. I have a little bit of an issue with it, I'll be honest with you.
But the polling locations couldn't be on the map because they'll be decided after we approve the map.
I understand. I'm talking about what the exercise was that we went through to determine we had the polling locations, the anticipated potential polling locations noted on the maps when we were working through the maps. That's what we asked for, and we got that.
I don't remember, did you do that?
Yeah.
We put school buildings on there, yeah.
School buildings,
Yeah.
school buildings, but not like that doesn't mean those were.
Yeah, it wasn't an exhaustive survey, it was places we've used, yeah.
But the school buildings were there for that purpose, not for any other purpose. It wasn't really helpful to know where the schools were, other than to know that that would be a particular polling location. And I'm just saying, this is new information, and I would have to look at it again to see if you know, what could the potential be for District 4 to be forced to go somewhere else to cast their votes. I think it's a problem.
But I do have to remind, it's not our job to make the decision based on that, though. So
I understand that, but we spent a lot of time making sure that we had the space covered because it has been an issue. And I know it's not I'm not trying to dictate what the polling location is, but I think it takes a lot of consternation out of this when there's an obvious choice. And leaving places that aren't obvious choices makes me very nervous. And we did have that specific discussion around District 4. It wasn't until I came home after the last meeting I realized, oh, we missed on District 6, which again caused me concern.
it's funny, I have to say, I never thought we were making these decisions for polling places. Maybe I was the only one not getting that. I thought schools would be in the district because that's like part of the neighborhood, but I didn't view this as something we were doing personally. I remember District 4 being important to you, but I thought that was part of the neighborhood issue more than the
It was both.
Oh.
It was both for the school, because we don't have, specifically, we didn't have we've never had a voting location in District 4, at all. And, but I do understand what Matt is saying, and I'm frustrated about this, and I can also understand Representative Iacono's point of McKinley and the other districts, but I also can understand where this isn't in our purview, and at this point, I think I would not let it hold us up from voting, because it's not in our purview, and it is the responsibility of the registrars, hopefully, to agree. Hopefully, they would agree on Stratfield for District 4 and McKinley for the other districts.
So,
and hopefully, but obviously, Mr. Wagner cannot promise that because there's two registrars and they have to agree. So,
right.
but I just want that to be known that it's the preference of this committee.
Correct.
That would be
And
the option.
thank you, Representative Spiller, because I couldn't agree with you more, and I really just hope, Mr. Wagner, that your office understands that it is the strong preference, even though we don't decide. But remember then, if there's a dispute, it comes to the RTM.
Sure.
It is the strong preference of at least 3 of us on this committee that it be McKinley School and it be Stratfield School.
I understand what you're saying.
Otherwise, we're going to take another month to, we're going to need another meeting to make another adjustment to move 500 people. And I think, in all truth, we're pleased with the work that we've done here, and I don't think any of us really want to start moving lines, worrying about what another office is going to do.
Sure.
In the event that it's only going to, because what happens is, as you all know, it does come full circle all the way back to us anyway. And I'm trying to avoid that.
Right.
So I'd rather just be done with it right now and feel comfortable that we're going to get Stratfield in 4 and McKinley in 6. Otherwise, we go again, and then we're not going to get to this again until March.
Can I just point out one other thing, is that we all know that humans in general, and certainly voters, are significant creatures of habit, and I think Stratfield's been a polling location for a long, long time based upon my memory, and not that we have to continue, doing in the future what we've done in the past, but based upon all of that, and, I would imagine that people in that community would be very, very upset if they started to have to shift their travel for election day to some distant location because somebody didn't want to use that building and wanted to use some far away location in the district somewhere else. But I concur with Representative Iacono and Representative Spolier, and just would hope that logic would dictate what the ultimate decision would be there, based upon the least amount of disruption to the voters.
Yeah, and I'll say, I think that over the years, I've been, pretty consistent with my message is, like, you want to survey everything, see what your options are, and then you choose the one that is sort of the most obvious and convenient to people who are living there, right? Like, you don't want to make people drive all over the universe for no reason, right? Like, that's the ideal, I think. So I hear what you're saying, and, I can't speak for the other registrar, what her priorities and sort of interests are going to be in that. Just we're going to get into it as soon as there's a plan path. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Actually, can I have another question for?
Sure.
So when we do pass this plan, how soon after that do you guys meet to make that determination of the polling district or polling location?
It needs to be decided by at least a month before the next election event. I don't see a great reason to delay it, because you would need to notify voters who are coming in. At the same time someone registers, they get a notification of where they should go. So I imagine that we would implement the boundaries in our voter registration system so that everyone was assigned to the correct district, and then following that, assign polling places to it very quickly. That's what I just would say.
Thank you, Matt. So are we comfortable if you put that in the minutes? Again, Matt can't commit for both registrars, but,
Totally understand it. Noted right here.
yeah, okay. So given that, do we feel like we're prepared to have a motion to approve the maps and the meets and bounds?
Sure.
Would someone like to make a?
I'll make a motion to approve the maps and meets and bounds from, should I say a certain date, or?
Yeah. I think the map actually should be the one that has the numbers on it. Matt, when did you end up dating that? I forget.
or what is it called, I guess?
I told you something, I'm sorry, yeah, I told you, and I can't remember because I went back and forth.
Following the, email chain with, yourself and Representative Iacono, you asked me to, label, it as Proposal 102722, which was the, that's the label that is on the most recent one, but I can certainly furnish you with a map that has whatever label you like, if you need it for the purpose of your ordinance.
All right.
Thanks.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. So, what was dated 11/2/22? Do you know?
That was the same map.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
When
So
did it
Become
have
the numbers, though.
Yeah, the
That's
numbers.
important.
that's
December
important.
6th, I think.
December 6th.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we should name it
Yeah.
December 6th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, and then I can, when we get to the ordinance, I can revise I'll have to just revise this so that it reads December 6th.
Okay, thanks.
So I'll make a motion to approve the maps and minutes from the December 2023.
Maps and meets and bounds.
Yeah, sorry, I say minutes, meets and bounds, yes.
Thank you. Okay, I'm just seeing that. The meets and bounds were actually changed a little after December 6th.
So if I may, if you
Yeah.
don't mind, I think really what you should do on this is just a motion to approve the map. And then when we go to approve the ordinance, that has all the meets and bounds, so
Good
you're
idea.
covered.
Good
So
idea.
if you just do a motion to approve the map dated December 12th, or December 6th, I'm sorry, 2022, then that should suffice.
Perfect,
Just-
I'll make
just-
that motion.
okay.
That's a good idea,
Approve the
thank
map
you.
dated December 6th, okay, all right, so moved by Marcy.
I'll second it.
Thanks. Any discussion?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks. So now we'll turn to the ordinance, which Representative Iacono kindly drafted for us. I did have a few comments, and I made copies of it. Mainly, it was just two things that I think are not controversial. One is that I'm not sure we need the bound by in every section.
Just so you know, I didn't change anything in the meets and bounds. That's how engineering did it.
Oh, engineering did it that way.
I didn't do that.
Because I know
The
the
only
ordinance didn't have it.
Because that's what was in front of us, I didn't think it was in my purview to touch it,
Yeah.
other than I changed the date of the map because I knew that was right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I left that alone because that's how the engineering department did it.
Yeah. Okay, I guess I'll defer to them then. I know it wasn't in the ordinance.
Yeah, the other one just said beginning of the whatever, but he chose to do it this way, and I
Yeah.
didn't think it was my place to take it out because that's what was in front of us.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the only other thing is to add language, which I should say that I sent this to, the town attorney to look at, saying that we might be approving it tonight, and he was fine with it. And then he suggested something that we actually had all agreed to do, which is to have a statement about what happens if the meets and bounds have a discrepancy with the map. So I added a section, saying that the map would govern. So you can ignore my deletion of the bound by thing, but,
Then I have a question then, in regards to that, then would that place Stratfield School, because then the map would govern?
That's interesting.
So something in that situation, if that was a house and not a school, then what happens?
That's interesting. So, well, Matt, would you say that, sorry, Mr. Wagner, if you don't mind if I ask you another question, would you say that, the map also puts the district border through the parking lot, or does the map incorporate Stratfield School and the meets and bounds, or what make it different?
The meets and bounds accurately reflect the map, which has, basically the Stratfield driveway is a road in the Census Bureau's geography. And that road, it's Dorothy turns and reconnects to Melville. So, it's like a road that has a turn in the middle. So, the meets and bounds accurately reflect the map, which has Stratfield in, the adjacent district.
Thank you.
I don't think we need that map precedent, language anymore because we took the step to have Mr. Wagner go through with engineering to make sure everything matched the right way?
You feel like you had that issue before.
You were
so
the one
that's
who
why-
raised it, so
Yeah,
are you comfortable with that? Like, we don't say the map, in other words, then they'll work concurrently with one another, which is,
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I think the only other thing that's, potentially weird is the fact that it travels on water courses and such, which, have a variability to them in some way. But, you know, I think that Scott and I are both pretty confident that, it like follows exactly the sets of geography.
okay.
I do wonder though, since, the town attorney suggested it, if maybe we should do it because it doesn't hurt anything. If they already agree,
Well,
then-
except that like the issue that Marcy raised, I mean,
But he said that actually, what Mr. Wagner said was that Stratfield was actually in not District 4.
Oh,
because
okay,
they
got it.
drive-
Because
Because
of
of the
that.
drive.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
got it.
Yep.
Okay, so what do we do, just add after,
yeah, I had a section on that at the end.
after 19.2?
Yeah, in, K, actually in 1, before the last section, which said there will be 4 members of the RTM, page 8. I added, in the event of any discrepancy between the town of Fairfield RTM district map dated, it'll be 12/6/22, and the meets and bounds description set forth in this section 19-1, the town of Fairfield RTM district map dated 12/6/22 shall govern.
Do you think, though, that it should be under 19-2, because that has the map on file?
That's
That
okay with
actually
me.
speaks to the map?
Yeah, that's okay with me.
Okay.
Yeah. The only other thing I was suggesting is in the very first page is to to add that described in meets and bounds as follows. And I know that wasn't in the ordinance, but it sort of explains what they're about to see in the statute, the ordinance.
I think, though, that first sentence states that there are 10 voting districts.
Right.
But then this is saying this is meets and bounds described.
It already says it, though, and if you look at as described, it says, in each section, it says more particularly described as follows,
Oh,
which
okay.
is the standard language
Yeah,
for meets
I
and
don't-
bounds.
Yeah,
think you need it.
okay.
All right, so just add what you had as K into,
Maybe make it
19-2, and if you want, I'll do A and B.
Mm-hmm, that sounds good. Any other discussions or any other, comments?
No.
Sure.
Just making sure I do it right. Okay, got it.
You want another minute, Marcy?
I'm just looking on page 2, you have 3 being more, I'm trying to figure out where that change was.
Oh, that was part of the, deletion of those being bound by district, blah, 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 which you should ignore because
Oh, okay.
I
thank you.
realize now that was
Great.
part of the meeting.
Oh, I see what you're, okay, gotcha.
Okay, so are we ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
What was the
Was there a motion? I was just
Oh,
wondering.
gosh, there was no
I'm sitting
motion.
here.
All right, somebody make a motion, please, to approve the ordinance as amended just now in this meeting.
Well, actually, you don't even need to amend it, because we didn't do anything, so it is,
Oh, yeah, 'cause there
it's
was
just
no
on its
initial
face. So you
motion.
just need, a motion to approve, an ordinance for redistricting to be proposed to the full RTM for approval.
Okay, that you making
Sure.
that motion? Somebody want to second it?
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, we were discussing it, I thought we had already done a thing.
Did you second it, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah. Look what we did an ordinance. We might be able to get it on the January agenda, possibly.
Oh, really? She said we could get it in?
Mark said it could maybe be a supplemental, I think he had to get it in today, but
Okay.
we'll see.
All right.
So I want to thank you guys for all your hard work on this. I know it was a lot of time, and I really appreciate it. We did a good job. And I want to thank the Registrar of Voters, Matt Wagner, for hours and hours at no compensation for his help with developing the maps. It was really so important. Thank you. And also Scott Lehman in the engineering department, who spent a lot of time creating the meets and bounds.
Would we be able to get, I should have asked for it ahead of it. It'd be nice to have hard copy of the final map in color if we could get that somehow.
Well, let's see, if I get it from you, I could give it to you at the RTM meeting.
Okay, that'd be great.
I think they have enough ink for 1 or 2 more up there.
Just 1 or 2?
No, they told me, you're the only person using this printer, and you should know it's running out of ink, so.
Oh. Well, that would be our fault, I guess.
Well, whatever you can do, we'll
Yeah.
figure it out.
Use Staples if nothing else.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
We don't need any additional meetings then?
We don't? Okay.
Yeah.
So this will go to the RTM. The RTM voted last year, as I'm sure you all remember, to suspend Rule 32 to consider this, and the town attorney believes that would still be in effect. So unless the moderator changes that, we would be able to pass it within a month, I would think, so.
Okay.
But if there's any proposed amendments, it has to come back to us.
Correct.
So hopefully there will not be any.
Yeah. Get everybody in line.
Yeah. Thank you all very much. Would you like to do a motion to adjourn?
I will definitely do that happily.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.